So today I want to focus on two things. One, we are hearing about this easy schedule of ours ad nauseum, and it's being given as a reason this early success is happening. Caleb's career, it's not him maturing before our eyes. It's just a rookie playing bad teams. I want to go through a statistical workout, and it's by Bear Goggles On that turns this on its head, and it's an unusual way of working through this that I really like. It's an unusual perspective. We got to be encouraged by that, and also along with that, bad news around the league is going to hugely benefit us. Now, I'm never going to celebrate injuries on this channel. That's kind of Bush League, but it's also a reality that injuries over the weekend it's going to greatly benefit the Bears. And I don't care how we get wins. There aren't moral victories in the NFL. They're stacking W's. And this is making this way more likely. So let's get to it. This is Sports Talk Bears. I'm Sean. Hey, do us a solid. Join the family. Hit the subscribe button as we push towards 10,000 subscribers. So let's get to it. So a way of looking at this isn't by just the quality of the opponent. Just like RAS scores. You guys know what that is. Let me review. It analyzes a player's performance comparable to peers at the same position. It's typically a draft tool. It's an amazing gauge for evaluating players. Let's evaluate Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears in the same way. Let's look at the last 3 games won during this streak, and we're talking about the Rams, Carolina, and most recently the Jags. So instead of saying these teams stink and Caleb better be performing against them, let's compare his performance to the other quarterbacks that have faced the same teams this year. This might help illustrate not that this development we're seeing, that it's real, that it's not counterfeit. I'm going to go to this gauge right here. This is on statmuse.com. This is a really cool site, you guys. Call it up and dig through it. There's a lot of cool stuff on here. So looking at this, and this is against Carolina, Caleb completed 74% of his passes, and that we'll start with LA, and then we'll move to Carolina. Caleb completed 74% of his passes for a 106.6 passer rating against LA. And if you compare that to 2 other opponents that the Rams have faced, Jordan Love and Jared Goff. Good company, right? Let's look at this. Caleb, he topped them both. I mean, this isn't a perfect measurable. Let's just have some fun here. This is what we have. So both of the other quarterbacks threw a pick. Caleb did not. Both quarterbacks finished lower than Caleb in completion percentage and quarterback rating. If you look at it, it kind of feels petty, but I also haven't heard a single word that Love and Goff's performances should not be taken seriously due to the quality of the Rams team this year. Let's be fair. Now we've got the next 2 teams, the Panthers and the Jags. Granted, 2 of the worst teams in the league, but you can only play the teams on your schedule, right? The company for this opponent. We're talking Cousins, Carr, Burrow, Minshew, Herbert. Burrow. Tough comparisons. Great quarterbacks in there. Caleb outperformed all of them in multiple categories besides Carr, but that was when that whole team was absolutely playing on their heads, way above their watermark to start the year. Now they've come back to earth. So the completion percentage for Caleb right there at 69%. He had the most yardage of all of them at 304. He had the highest per throw average at 10.5 yards a completion. And he also tied with Herbert and Burrow at 2 scores. No picks, only took 1 sack. So you guys, these numbers kind of compile up. And I'm not going to argue here that this supports that we have our quarterback. I'm going to argue that we actually do. We have our quarterback. This isn't a fluky fool's gold thing against bad opponents. We're comparing it to other top-tier quarterbacks placed within the same measurable, the same opponent. Arrow is way up. Now we move to the game against the Jags. He outperformed a guy that's always put up as a comparable, a guy whose rookie success last year, people say Caleb could never duplicate, right? Guess what? So far, he's right there. Caleb outperformed C.J. Stroud in completion percentage by a ton against the Jags, 79.3 to 67.5. That's major. Double his touchdown output at 4. absolutely crushed Stroud's quarterback rating and also touchdown percentage. I mean, this is not a perfect metric. You guys check out that site. It's awesome. I mean, this isn't a perfect metric, but it kind of turns this it kind of turns this it's just a weak schedule argument upside down. And I'm not going to go nuts. I'm not going to say Caleb is suddenly Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to be silly. But what I'm trying to illustrate is that its progress is real. It's trustable. It's got a promising continuation coming, starting with this week's game against the Commanders. Now, I don't have any more than that. Jaden Williams at this time, this is all the information we have. He suffered a rib injury during Sunday's game. Severity is unknown at the time that I'm filming this. I'm not going to celebrate it, but I will take absolutely any advantage I can get to get another W. This second half stretch, it's going to be an absolute gauntlet. And the advantage continues with the serious knee injury suffered by Brandon Ayuk on Sunday as well. And if you kind of couple that with McCaffrey's Achilles situation, Deebo Samuel, he's in and out of the lineup all year. He got hurt again, having an absolutely rough time staying healthy. It could end up being that the matchup against the 49ers later in the season, that ends up being an easier game, kind of a rest instead of just another ridiculous opponent, another ridiculous test within our divisional matchups in the second half of the year. So once again, don't get it twisted, never celebrating injuries, but still I'm pointing out how this journey through the season continues to be in our favor. And I'm also going to point out how this team as a whole, not just blowing the doors off of these last two teams, they are absolutely dominating. And this makes yet another compelling argument that this franchise, it's turned a corner. Like destroying the Panthers, destroying the Jaguars and wins. I get it. But come on, let's be equal here. They're not total pushovers because it took Detroit overtime to beat the Rams. This was before losing Hutch. Green Bay beat the Rams by about the same amount as Chicago did. We blew out the Panthers. Atlanta only had a touchdown lead in the fourth quarter at one point against the Panthers. And Jacksonville was just coming off nearly committing robbery against, once again, C.J. Stroud at Houston. They barely squeezed him out. Caleb outperformed Stroud against the same opponent, and it wasn't even close. So we can keep going, but this Chicago Bears team, it's different. No longer are we just beating or having letdowns against teams that on paper we should blow out, right? We're doing it on the field. The offense is steadily growing, really clicking together nicely. And defense looks like possibly the scariest unit in the league. So now we've got reinforcements coming from the O-line. We're finishing a bye week to get healthy, most notably in the secondary, right? So what I'm saying is don't let people steal the joy out of this. These measurables help with that. Don't be a miserable Bears fan with PTSD. Let's move past it. I'm trying to too, so I feel you, but be excited about what's happening here. Just kick back, watch what has been built by GM Ryan Poles, and we're just going to be in the hunt all year, and I'm here for it. You guys let me know what you think. Share what you think. Do you think this metric actually reinforces that Caleb is our QB of the future, that he is our franchise, and that he is already maturing before our eyes? You guys bear down. Can't wait for the Washington game, and we'll talk soon. See ya.